This is the way that we bring it down. Down, down, 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 down. Igniting the fire within you. Exalting the melody of freedom. These are the things that will bring it down. Down, down, 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 down. So gather the faithful. Tell everyone to stand and shout loud. Shout loud. Shout loud. Let's bring it down. Let's bring it way down. Let's bring it down. Let's bring it down, down. Let's bring it down. Let's bring it way down. Let's bring it down. Let's bring it down, down. Down, down, down.
Let me tell you, it's in the air. Joy is in the air. Love is in the air. Can you feel it? What it feel like? Freedom. What it feel like? Don't sleep on it, brother. You might get left, sister. Can you feel it? What it feel like? Freedom. What it feel like? Justice. No need to be counted, cause I am down. Down, down, down. Down, down, down. Down for the end of racism, for the end of bigotry, cause I am down. For the end of misogyny, that's right. For all the isms out there, just down, down, down. Let's bring it down. Rise up, people. No more foolishness, and let's bring it way down.
Riding the river of change into the cries of contrition. This is the way that we bring it down. Down, down, 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 down. We are the children of Eden, dancing and celebrating freedom. We are the ones that must bring it down. Down, down, 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 down. So gather the faithful. Tell everyone to stand and shout loud. Shout loud. Shout loud. Let's bring it down. Let's bring it way down. Let's bring it down. Let's bring it down, down. Let's bring it down. Let's bring it way down. Let's bring it down. We've got to bring it down. Down. Stand up and shout. Stand up and shout. Rise together.
Accountability starts now. The Eric Dawson Radio Show.
Yeah. Rise up. Stand up, shout it loud.
If you are not prepared to come to that table and to represent that voice, don't come. Because we don't need any more brown faces that don't want to be a brown voice. We don't need black faces that don't want to be a black voice. We don't need Muslims that don't want to be a Muslim voice. We don't need queers that don't want to be a queer voice. And if you're worried about being marginalized and stereotyped, please don't even show up.
Good morning, happy Friday, or thank God it's Friday, whichever one you prefer. Welcome to another episode of The Eric Dawson Show. Here with Diana Murray Clements and Vincent Squire, hailing from South Jersey, running for U.S. Senate against Cory Booker. How's that going, Vincent? Oh, hello.
Uh-oh, Vincent done took a break. Is he on the campaign trail?
Of course, always ABC, always be campaigning.
First time I've heard that, I like it.
All right. Hey, I'm starting my day off great now.
So you winning
So-
her?
Don't go too fast. Don't go too fast.
You're,
now,
win-
come on.
you're winning her over early, Vincent.
Oh, hey, listen. I have a theory that if I can convince Diane that I'm a great candidate, then I can win this.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know. We're going to have to set you up for a debate, question answer time. I'll have to set that up so we could do a forum for people to ask questions, and I'll let you know afterwards.
Sounds great. I'm ready for it. Bring it.
Yeah, and then we'll get a cut out of Cory and put him over here, right? Like,
Exactly.
or just like an empty chair, right? Figure something out.
Yeah, just like his work in the Senate.
Yeah, just like his work in the Senate. So listen, there's a lot going on. We were talking about it yesterday, Vincent, right? Well, firstly, guys, I gotta say this because I got so many calls after we did the rebroadcast yesterday. You know, people asking me, "Am I okay?" I was just a little tired yesterday. That's all. But I'm fine. But thank you for the calls, the well wishes, the continued prayers, and everything. A-okay. Just burning the candle on both ends, right? And maybe in the middle too. So I got to figure that out. But we were talking yesterday about the brother Jamal, Vincent, and I don't know if we got a chance to talk about him, Diane, but you know, the progressives are mounting a war and winning.
Yeah.
And winning.
Yeah. They are. I'm excited. That, you know what that means? That means people have been energized to pay attention, for one, and understand that they do need change. And they're not looking for career politicians anymore. They're really looking for people to be solution makers.
Right. And that truly means that people are just sick and tired of being sick and tired of this stuff. And yeah, change is definitely needed.
Yeah. Well, one of the things, and you know, AOC is doing a lot, traveling across the country, supporting candidates and helping them raise money and helping them win. One of the things that I am disturbed by, though, is I wish that she would speak about term limits. So she talks about, you know, the longevity of a lot of those career politicians, but she falls short in terms of not talking about term limits, right? So I think that, you know, I would love to hear her say, look, I think that we should be pushing for term limits. We should push to have it on the ballot, and have people, have people vote for that, and then, or legislate it, right? I guess. But whatever means we need to go through to get to term limits, I think that we need to get there. But I'm excited to see but I always thought that she was a firebrand, man, when she was campaigning, and then certainly when she won. She, as well as the other members of the squad, I think that they are terrific people, and I think that they're an example of what we should be looking for in our government, our elected officials. You know, people who are willing to go and fight, take risks, right? Those four women took risks the last 2 years. Tremendous risks, to the point where Ilhan Omar her life was threatened. But when you have, Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi and the rest of them,
Chuck Schumer, that's a good one.
Eric, I'm looking forward to you meeting them after you win this election and them questioning their nicknames.
but they don't take risks. What they do, and you can see it happening before our eyes, guys. They look at the way the wind is blowing, and then they try to jump in front of it, as though they were there the whole time, right? So now, if you listen to Chuck Schumer, Black lives have always mattered to him. If you listen to Chuck Schumer, justice and inequality and all those things have been fights that he has been on the forefront. And it's crazy, because my question again is, if you've been fighting for this, then what went wrong? Because you've been there for over 30 some years. What progress have you made? So yeah, anyway, that's my deal.
Here is my answer to all of this. I believe years ago you used to have a term called maximum sophisticated confusion.
Yes, man.
Okay, well, what most of us believe all that he is saying is that maximum sophisticated confusion, better known as bullshit. Look, if Black Lives Matter to him throughout his entire career, then how come throughout his entire career we had a string or a serial amount of Black lives being killed by the police, yet we never heard anything about it from him until people started tearing up stuff?
Where was his kente cloth? Where was his daishiki? Where was his kufi? Where was any of that stuff? He just bought it, man. He didn't.
Where was him going to these courthouses so that these police officers can get a true bill and indicted for murder?
Yeah. It's crazy. So, I look at it, man, and, I hope people are as disgusted and turned off by it as I am. Diane.
Yes.
You asked me about a video, and I reached out to Anthony Diaz to see if he could call in. Oh, wait a minute. He said, I can do that. What is the call-in number, or do you want me to video in? Nope. So wait a minute. We're going to get Anthony Diaz, 908-481-5499. So Anthony Diaz is going to call in a second. He is he the executive, whatever, of the Newark Water Coalition, right?
I believe so.
Founded the Newark Water Coalition to inform and engage people about what was going on and what is still going on with Newark's water. Anthony Diaz is not on the right side. Well, he's on the right side, but he's on the mayor's wrong side.
He's on the side of the people.
Yeah, he's on the right
government.
side, but he's on the mayor's wrong side. And the mayor's, to be on the mayor's good side is to be a yes person for Mayor Baraka. To challenge him, you draw his ire as well as the ire of thugs that hang around him. There were a couple of years ago, I reported in the Newark Report that the mayor had sent down some goons to attack some folks who were protesting on the steps of City Hall. Let me say that again. Now, and I want you to understand, this used to be the protest. This mayor used to be the protest guy. He used to be the one with the bullhorn. He used to be the one that would march and hold up traffic and stand on the steps of City Hall, call every elected official, every name in the book. That was that guy. But then once he became mayor, he said, hey, listen, all of that protest has to stop when it comes to me. You can't protest against me because I will call my goons, I will call my thugs, and I will have them harass and intimidate you, and I will also have them attack you. And so the gentleman who was protesting against, here's Anthony. Hold on one second, Anthony.
Nothing takes the black out of a politician than when he gets a government job.
So what the mayor did then was they were protesting against all of the violence that was taking place in Newark. Because once again, before he was the mayor, he was out protesting and marching against violence, right? And all of these organizations that are now on the dole through patronage jobs those folks were at one time marching with him against violence in the city of Newark. In fact, the mayor is one of the things he's best known for is a video at Central High School where he gave this speech and said that this wasn't normal. And I agree with him, it's not normal. But when we want to now come out and protest against the abnormal behavior, then he says because it goes against whatever he wants to do, he says don't do that. And then again, he sends his thugs and he sends his goons out as he did a couple of years ago to have them choke a gentleman on the steps of City Hall. Okay? Now, the video that I asked Anthony Diaz to call in, he's on the line, I'm going to ask him to speak about it, is disturbing to me. Because once again, you have people who want to march and they want to protest and they want to share their thoughts and ideas and feelings about a particular thing. And to have DJ Mitty, the mayor's brother and chief of staff, show up there, and I don't understand this. I know, Vincent, you say I give a lot to unpack, but as he was speaking to the crowd, I mean, firstly, I wouldn't entertain what he's saying anyway, but as he's speaking to the crowd, he lowers his face mask, right? And so now all his spittle that may contain the coronavirus, right?
Spittle, is that a word?
It is a word.
Yeah, it is a word.
It is a
Wow,
word.
I missed that on my SAT. Go ahead.
But now he's spitting and spraying on everybody. I mean, there was just a lot that was disturbing. And then, all the other people who were screaming and hollering, and it looked like somebody actually attacked somebody or knocked down their sign or banner or whatever. But we'll get all the details on that because we have, again, Anthony Diaz from Newark Water Coalition on the line. Welcome, Anthony.
Hey, how's it going, Eric?
Anthony, man. Brother, you have more patience than I do. Because I'm telling you, there would have been a side of me that, people haven't seen since I was in my late teens, early 20s. If folks had confronted me like that in the street. But what first, introduce yourself to the people who are listening so they know who you are, and then we'll go on.
Okay. My name is Anthony Diaz. I'm co-founder of the Newark Water Coalition. I've been an activist in Newark for a little time. Born and raised in the South Ward, went to Maple Avenue School, went to Science High School, co-founded the BLM chapter of Newark, ran for city council in 2018, worked with Homes for All Newark to help pass the rent control ordinance, currently Essex County freeholder candidate, so I've just been active in a lot of circles for a long time.
Okay. And is it accurate to say, because I said you're on the right side on these issues, but you're on the wrong side of the mayor? It seems.
No, yeah, I think that's a pretty fair statement. One of the things though, like, there's just so much here, right? So a lot of people ask me the same thing or told me the same thing, like you said, I can't believe you didn't flip out, you didn't wig out, and and I'm a hothead. I know that I'm a hothead, but the biggest thing from that mutual aid march was disappointment, right? Because yes, they're the paid agitators that they claim us to be all the time, right? And they claim and they disrupted this protest, this march, of people that literally had lettuce and diapers in their hand, right? So it's one thing to say, we don't want this, we don't need you, blah, 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 but to show up empty-handed. You're not doing the work that I'm doing, right? And at the end of the day, whether it's me against Roz or the Newark Water Coalition against this administration, it's the community that suffers.
Yeah.
Because, now I have to worry about my security. And, I saw that Cesare was watching, and, he's having a protest. And I'm like, listen, if I can't guarantee my security, and I'm afraid I can't show it, right? And that's real. And so when people say, it's not that serious, or that's not, it's like, yo, they have come to a point where they're physically attacking me and my people.
Yeah.
Right? Because so it's not a conversation anymore. We're not having a dialogue anymore.
Well,
they destroyed our property.
But
they
let's
put
do
their
this.
hands on us.
Let's go. I want to take people back, right? Because we haven't talked about this administration and how it came into power, right? It came into power through thuggish behavior, intimidation tactics, all those kinds of things. I talked about this years ago when Ras Baraka ran his first term. He ran against Shavar Jeffries, and a full disclosure, I worked on Shavar's campaign. But what Raz did was he co-opted thugs on the street and had them participate in intimidation tactics. They literally punched a young lady in the face on Shavar's, who was campaigning for Shavar, who was out canvassing. They chased and threatened countless canvassers and workers of the campaign. I personally had to go and rescue, if you will, some of them because they had chased them into senior buildings and other kinds of places, and I got calls from the headquarters and had to go down there and extricate them from those places because they were fearful of being assaulted. And this was going on. We would have people go out at night to hang posters up, and you had drug dealers and gang members who were assigned specific neighborhoods to guard against having Shavar Jeffries' literature hung up on posters. And the people who went to hang them up were threatened that if they hung them up that they would be assaulted. This was actually going on. We called Ras Baraka's campaign headquarters and we asked them to put a stop to it. But he egged it on. He encouraged it. He paid for it. So this is what happened. You see, and then when he got in office, he brought a lot of that into City Hall. And so now a lot of those people who never had jobs before, never had W-2s before, never had legal earnings before, are concerned about their personal finances. And so they're going to do anything they can to ensure that that guy stays in office if he wants to be there. And he knows it and he encourages it. And so anybody who comes into the city of Newark that has a word to say that is contrary to what Ras J. Baraka says, he sicks his goons on them, including his brother DJ Mitty.
Yeah, and I think that's, that is a big issue too, because when you talk to some of these people, you understand, like, their arguments don't really have a lot of substance, right? But I can't pay people. I don't even have money for myself. Right. So it's like, the incentive here is community, right? And that's why I keep stressing that in all my interviews, is because this individualism is not going to save us, right? It's going to take us talking to these brothers and really, really trying to get through to them. And, like, why are you fighting against your own self-interest? Why are you spouting this narrative when you know the city of Newark is not changing in the way that we need it to change?
Well, but you know what, Anthony?
Anyone.
But Anthony, but see, so I watched the video, and there were people who were saying, "We don't need you." How many of the we's were there? Newark is comprised of over 300 and some thousand people. How many people showed up to say we don't need you here?
So that's the other argument that is like, it's so funny to me, because the people saying that we don't need you were them. They were all city employees. It was about 20 of them that riled up the community. The community that was there and receiving the donations, not all of them, were in support. But, the mothers who got diapers, they were appreciative. The woman that came out on her balcony and clapped for us, She was appreciative.
Right.
The people in the street that we stopped and gave stuff to, they were appreciative. Because at the end of the day, people want resources. They don't care who's giving it out, but they want consistency. So how can we offer them consistency when we're met with physical altercations, right? Like, I wanted to be out there the next day doing a distribution. But again, I have a team and an organization that, I have to worry about their safety.
Right.
And, people are worried about my safety. And it's like, okay, well, I have to reevaluate the work that I'm doing, and I can't be out there as much as possible. And then that's a disservice for the community that I want to serve. But then when you do that, you fall victim to their plan. If they can intimidate you to stop you from doing good for the people, then they win. Yeah, and so what I want to say is that we're not going to stop. We just have to do better, right? Now I have to make sure that if I'm going out there, that I do have security. So it's not like we're going to stop altogether. It's just we have to reevaluate our tactics. We have to reevaluate our operations. But I assure you, I am doubling down on this work. That this work is not going to stop. I am from the same city that he is from. And I am born and raised in Newark, and this whole insider adjective, Reverend Roundtree came up to me that day and goes, "Oh, Anthony, where do you live?" And I said, "That's such an interesting question, Reverend Roundtree. I live in West Orange in my aunt's basement. Where does Larry Ham live? Where does Baba Zaid live? They don't live in Newark."
Right.
But you hand in hand marching with them.
Anthony, I got the same thing, right? So they have this, they have these convenient narratives, right? When they work for them, and I used to say to them exactly the same thing. Look, when I lived in Montclair, Larry Ham and I would see each other at the Panera right there on Bloomfield Avenue every morning as I got my coffee and he got his tea. But they welcomed Larry Ham because Larry Ham was on the side of the mayor, you see, and so there was no issue. But Eric, because I was outspoken about what the mayor was doing, well, you live in Montclair. And I said, well, wait a minute, didn't that guy live in Montclair too?
Then let's take that a step further, right? Where do these developers that are pouring money into downtown Newark live?
That's absolutely right.
Let's talk about the real outsiders. Let's talk about the real gentrifiers, right? So, this narrative, again, it just serves to detract. And that's the other thing that I've been telling people. I don't give a shit where you come from. Sorry for cutting. I don't care where you're coming from.
No, keep it real, bro. Keep it real.
If you have a heart to serve this community, and you're showing up with integrity and consistency, that is all that matters, right? That is all I care about. Because at the end of the day, there are so many people, especially during this pandemic, that are suffering in silence, don't have jobs, don't have money, and they need a helping hand. They need somebody to say, brother, I love you. I'm going to give you a case of water. I'm going to give you some fresh produce. I'm going to give you these diapers. And it's not being done. And it's not being done on a level that serves everybody. Only the people that get these, the ShopRite cards, right? I had several members that I pointed to this. And I said, hey, this is a good thing the city's doing, and do it. Anthony, I tried calling. I can't get in touch. They told me I had to go through this hoop or I had to go through this hoop. And I said, you know what? I'm going to try to find a way for us to do it for you personally. I'm going to show up and deliver groceries to your house. Right? And so it's like, if you're going to challenge me on this and say, you're not doing everything that you're supposed to be doing or critique the way that I'm doing it, show up. Do better than me. Do better. I welcome that. Right. Because then, you know what? We're all winning at that point.
Sure.
See, and the thing what I really hate about this and what you're doing is the simple fact that, these people have put their heart and soul into these candidates. And as you said, they're suffering in silence. They have a need. These guys know that they have a need because they've been taking care of all their friends. But they haven't taken care of the majority of the people. And now they want to stop someone who is doing that because it puts them in a bad light. See, and that is so heartbreaking for the voters, for the people who actually have trust in these idiots that get in the office and they turn their backs.
Well, listen,
it's really sad.
So we know why they do it. My father used to say, if you lead them, if you feed them, you can lead them. If they swallow, they will follow, right? And so every administration in the city of Newark, since I was alive, has operated like that. So they take resources and they dole those resources out to a very loyal group of people, and then they it is a quid pro quo. I'm gonna do this for you, and this is what I expect in return, right? So I mean, and it's really down and dirty, even down to the senior buildings where they have senior captains in these buildings, and they give them resources, right, food or whatever they give them, and then those seniors keep the other seniors in line by threatening them or reporting back to the various administrations what these other seniors are doing in those buildings. It's absolutely horrible. And so when you step forward, Anthony, and just want to serve, so you don't have any strings attached to your resources, you just want to give resources, the thing that goes through their mind is they know how they're maintaining control. And they're maintaining control over people by dangling resources in front of them. And so now you present a threat to them because you now have resources. And God forbid if there are 5,000 people that Anthony is in touch with who have resources, because in their mind, those 5,000 people become potential voters for Anthony Diaz. And so they'd rather deny you the opportunity to serve and deny those people the opportunity to benefit from your blessing. They're pieces of shit. That's what they are.
Hey, I agree. And what I really hate about it is that here is a person who has an opportunity, because let's make this clear, okay? All of those developers that are coming in doing a gentrification of transforming Newark to the all-white society that pay him to do it. He could have took that money and got some resources. You know what? And let's look at, another failed politician who can't do anything about the water in Newark. How hard can that be?
Oh, that was the other argument, that I lured people to the city of Newark under the premise of George Floyd to talk about the water crisis. And I said that's such a ridiculous argument considering we're the Newark Water Coalition. Of course I'm going to talk about the water. And not only that, but I'm going to educate people and say if all struggles are interconnected. Housing, violence, education, the water problem, it's all interconnected. And how do you combat that? By teaching and preaching self-sustainability, by saying mutual aid. That was the whole point of the march. From university to the 5th precinct was a vision of the school-to-prison pipeline and saying, hey, we're not only going to march, we're going to bless this community. Self-sustainability is the biggest F to the state. And that's what boggles my mind. It's like, I expected pushback from the cops, right? People saying community pushback, I was like, sort of, but I don't really buy that. People like free shit. But to have city officials, Lamin Muhammad, Reverend Roundtree, Tariq Anquet, all show up and disrupt this, Lamont Vaughn show up and disrupt this, was absolutely, mind-boggling to me. Tariq Anquet, he goes, hey, man, it's all good, and, tries to fist bump me, and I said, no, brother, I appreciate you, but you have to understand this is not what any of this is about.
Anthony, come on, let's keep this real. Now, you are telling people and informing them that water is causing serious and serious brain damage that cannot be recovered from their children from drinking this water. You are telling them that part of their underlying crisis that is being taken advantage by this COVID-19 virus is part due to that bad water. And those people who are in charge of the water being bad are knowing that you are telling people this information and you don't expect them to push back.
You know why? Because the solutions are so, it's low-hanging fruit at this point, right? They're replacing the lead service lines. Great. All I need you to do is test the homes afterwards. And they're unwilling to do that. And it's mind-boggling, because you could easily shut me up by doing the right thing. But the right thing isn't even that hard. and it requires minimum effort. So they rather show up in force and do the wrong thing, get caught on camera, and then make excuses. So for me, as a person with integrity, I don't get it. I just don't get it. It's not rational to me.
Let me help you. Them doing the right thing takes money out of their pockets, which keeps them from their lavish vacation. It keeps them from, that political status that they have grown accustomed to. So oppressing the people because they're supposed, and they got in by saying, we are the voice of the people. Oh, how dare you? How dare
someone told me recently that Roz is okay with being the oppressor because he's not white. As long as a white man is not oppressing him, he is fine with being the oppressor. Yeah, and I was like, wow, that really stuck with me.
Yes. See, on the Eric Dawson show, they call them slave whisperers.
Ooh.
Yeah.
And there are plenty of those. Listen, I'm a former member of the.
Well, no. Raz is not a slave whisperer. Raz is a slave catcher. We have to be clear, right? So he's an overseer.
Mm-hmm.
He's an overseer. Part of the thing is, like, I was watching the video, and his brother was talking about how there's power in Newark. There's no power in Newark. There's no power. Raz Baraka has no power.
He's the puppet.
Yeah,
we
have to be really clear about that, right? Raz has the ability to dole out a few jobs, right? He has the ability to do that. But all of the big decisions, those things are made at a different level. And then, when it rolls out, it's because they've allowed him to do it. And so we have to be very, very clear about that. So what were you going to say, Vincent?
What I was going to say to Anthony is this: I'm a former member of the New Jersey incarcerated, and I have this theory. When I go into the prisons and I minister to them, I express to them this: yes, I was incarcerated, and nothing stopped me from committing a crime. So now that I have changed my life and I'm doing what's good, what am I going to let stop me from doing good when nothing stopped me from doing wrong? Nothing should stop you. Nothing should stop you. Not these little punks that want their position. Not these little slave catchers who have their position from the powerful. Not the slave whisperers that they employ. Nothing should stop you. If you are doing what's right for the people, keep doing what's right for the people, and tell them all to kiss your. You know what I mean?
Yes. Yeah. It's very affirming and encouraging to do this. Because. It was really, Marquise Lewis was there too. And I said, wow, you guys really think I'm a threat? I had no idea. So now that I know, now I will operate accordingly. Because it really blew, I have to tell you guys, and everyone that's listening, it really, really blew my mind in a lot of different ways. Because it's we've been doing this for the last 2 years. And it's you've gotten to the point and you have no options left than to physically assault a peaceful protest. This is wild.
Well, no. But let us be clear, Anthony. See, we have to be really clear about what it is they see. They don't see a peaceful protest. They see a move against their power and their interests. Right? They see a move against their political seats. And see, anytime, because that's how it happens, right? It happens through grassroots organizations and grassroots movements, right? It happens through informing and engaging people in the community. And so when they see that formula coming together, those ingredients coming together, they say, oh man, he's baking a cake. Right, and we don't want that, and so they have to come in. They have to disrupt it. They have to toss your ingredients on the ground. They have to, like little bullies, right? They have to, kick dirt on it. So that's what they did.
Yeah, we had a cookout planned at St. Lucy's the Friday after, and supposedly the city called the priest and told them that we were violent and that they needed to cancel the cookout and not partner with us.
Yeah.
And it was a cookout. There's a cookout. So last Friday there was another event at Weekway Park. I ended up going, bringing my grill and cooking for it. I had no idea that it was actually a co-sponsored with the same people that disrupted the protest. And Lamont Vaughn comes, disturbs me at the grill, and I said, listen, brother, I'm literally grilling for the community here. What more do you want from me? Like, what more could I possibly give you? You know, like, just leave me alone. Let me grill. This is what I'm doing. I am here to serve. What are you doing but agitating me while I'm literally cooking for this crowd of 200 kids? Like, it's fucked up, man. It is fucked
well,
up.
but again, I want you to understand,
saying,
and for all the listeners, understand what it represents to them. See, they see those 200 people, those 200 kids, and they say those 200 kids have parents or guardians, and those parents or guardians may be voters. You see, and so Anthony, though it may look on the outside to some people that Anthony's just cooking for them to have hot dogs and whatever, see, in their minds, Anthony, they're saying, see, this is how we control people. See, what Anthony's doing is how we control people. And so we believe that Anthony may be in the control people business by cooking for them. And so we want to disrupt it so that Anthony doesn't become a threat to us during election time, where those people now may listen to him. I'm telling you, it's horrible.
Because Anthony cooking on the grill cuts down their control. Anthony, working on getting people better water cuts down their control, because they control by oppressing. See, and when you take away the power of the oppressor, or as my father used to say, the best way to deal with a bully, you punch him in the face. So every time you get out there in that grill, you punch them in the face. Every time you speak up for the weak and the silent and the oppressed and the scared, or as we say, those who are suffering from Stockholm Syndrome, they have to live with their oppressors, you cut down their control.
So, Eric, hey, good morning, Anthony. It's Diane. I have a question for Eric to maybe help you, Anthony. Eric, you worked on the inside with Raz. What's his weak point? Every bully has a weak point. When you know the weak point, you're able to destroy them.
I can answer that after Eric.
Yeah. So I'm not gonna.
Well, you don't have to say it online.
Yeah, I'm not gonna.
On air, you can give it to behind the scenes.
Yeah.
I'll say this online.
Well, I mean, to honestly, it's clear that the weak point is just doing the work, right? He looks like, for years, and this is the thing that people don't know, Raz has not liked me for years, prior to me doing any public work. Because I had criticized him, and I knew he was off when he was a vice principal at Weekway. When I was introduced to him by Angela Garrett, and I was like, she was like, oh, this is
don't say her. Don't say Harrison, the one that's running for freeloader position again in July. Please don't get me started on that one.
So I said, there's something weird about this guy. There's something off about him. And we've never had a good relationship after that.
And so there was the weakness. There was the weakness. Yeah. Okay. First weakness of the oppressor was vanity. You have now cut into his vanity, because you are now placed in a light in which he cannot obtain.
Yeah.
So what I would say is this, without really talking about his weakness, is you're right, Anthony. The focus should be on just continuing to do the work, right? Just continue to do the work, and figure out how to sidestep the obstacles, because they're going to come. And they're going to, but it's only going to be, it's 15 or 20 of them, right? And it's the same characters, every time, that just, they dust them off and they send them out there to rabble rouse. And so just, get through them. I mean, one of the things that I wish would not have occurred, and maybe it's going to require additional discipline from your folks, is not to even engage them. Because there was one moment in the video where somebody who was part of the march said to the young lady who was telling everybody to go home, They said, "Oh, she's thirsty. Give her some water," and all that did was fed her. Right. It just, and so don't do those kinds of things, and just let it peter out. Let them scream and holler, and don't engage them. And for the most part, it'll peter out. You'll get some of them who will become irate at the fact that you're ignoring them, and then they'll become irrational in their behavior, and then you deal with that accordingly. But you got to keep doing the work.
Another technique. Now, there was a Black Lives Matter protest in Alabama, and a group of people with their Confederate flags and their Ku Klux Klan hoods came in to disrupt that. And what happened was nobody engaged them except for maybe 10 from the Black Lives Matter, who surrounded them and escorted them off the protest site.
Yeah. And I would ask those kind of questions, right?
Finding de-escalation tactics, finding security, finding more militancy, being more disciplined. So again, it's like, I'm not going to stop doing this work. I'm doubling down on the community, but it's understanding where my shortcomings were, my criticisms, and saying, okay, I can do better next time. And I will do better next time, and we are going to be better next time.
Yeah. Listen, man, I appreciate all the work you're doing, Anthony. And I know you're a thorn in their side, but you're not trying to be. You just want the best for the residents of Newark. And that's the crazy part about it, right? Like, your issue's not with him. Your issue's with advocating for the residents of Newark. And so for him to stand in the way of that, and for those people to stand in the way of that, it speaks volumes for their character or lack thereof. And I liken all of them when they talk about the deplorable, Trump's deplorables. These are Raz's deplorables, all of them, including Reverend Roundtree. I've had some encounters with her, and I told her I'm not going to allow the Reverend at the beginning of your name to deter me from calling you out and talking about you the way that you need to be talked about. You're not going to hide behind the cloth. She's a thug in many respects as well. She just does it with a little more decorum than some others do.
So Anthony, how do people find you to support you? Do you have a GoFundMe page, a website, and how do they get more information in regards to the North Water? Because that's still a really relevant issue that's going on that hasn't been resolved. And one more thing, do you have any updates on the lawsuit against the city in regards to that?
Okay, so the first thing on the lawsuit is, again, it's all political. The court is saying, we're so busy, there's so many cases, and so they've been, trying to delay this process, and it's kind of, stagnated. So the more people that can get eyes on this and amplify this voice, we could put pressures on the courts to do the right thing. The first update is I want to get people absolutely clear. Just because you replace the lead service lines doesn't mean that you're safe to drink your water. Until you get a test result saying that you have 0 parts per billion of lead in your system, you should use a filter. And the reason why is you can have lead soldering, lead fixturing in your house that can still contaminate your water. And so that is by far the biggest point I want to make. And all of this is verified. You can go online, you can do the research for yourself. Our website is NorthBorderCoalition.com. We do have a GoFundMe page. We are not paid by hedge funds. We are not paid agitators. I live rent-free in my aunt's basement because she is a single woman, and it allows me to do the work that I love doing. We have an IG page, Clean Water, the number 4 Newark. We do a lot of posts on there and a lot of posts on Facebook. A lot of the work we do is education and advocacy. So we have a lot of PowerPoint presentations and videos that we show. And again, you can do all this research yourself if you don't want to take my word for it. There's the DEP website that gives you a list of the chemical composition of water and the violation of public water systems in the state of New Jersey. And again, you can do all this research on yourself. MPS just recently, I said maybe like 2 or 3 months ago, put the lead results for Newark Public Schools on their website on the homepage. Now, what's interesting about that is not every school is updated. Again, do the research yourself, and you can find some really, really interesting, I shouldn't say interesting, really harmful results that would wake this population up.
Real quick, Anthony, could you express to the people what are the effects that they will suffer from lead in their water?
So if you're a child under the age of 6, you're part of the vulnerable population. It affects cognitive abilities, people with behavioral disorders. There's a correlation between an increase in violence and aggression and lead poisoning. If you're an adult, if you're older, you're also a vulnerable population. It takes the place of calcium in your bones. So if you suffer from like arthritis or osteoporosis, it can be a very, very harmful and painful disease. If you're pregnant, pregnant women are also part of the vulnerable population because it can affect the growth of your unborn child, causing miscarriages, affecting the mother in varying ways because of the way the nutrients are distributed after you're drinking the lead-filled water. So it ranges and it affects people differently, obviously, but it is very, very harmful. And if you're a child, there is no real treatment for lead unless you have like a crazy amount of lead poisoning. Then there's chelation therapy. But even that, the only remedy really is to get rid of the poison, right? That's the only real remedy. But after a certain amount, you're affected for life.
Yes. So these effects are irreversible.
Yes.
So those who are senior, since the lead affects the calcium, that is a strong contributor to senior citizens dealing with things like broken hips, broken legs.
And that's what I mean. It's like it's really all interconnected, right? And especially when you talk about in terms of increased aggression and behavioral problems, we have several teachers in the coalition that say, hey, there's a rise in ADHD or children with IEPs or, and granted, that could be any number of factors, but to discount lead poisoning, and because right now we're on our, 4th year? And this is only, if we're only going to look at 2016 from when the schools were announced to have lead poisoning, we're in our 4th year of this. So if you're going back and you're saying, well, we've had problems since Corey or Sharp, then you think about the city of Newark and its demographics and all the problems that we have. That's one of the things that I stress all the time. It's like, yes, there are no reports having a direct correlation, but to not question this would be a disservice to everyone.
Anthony, how come with all this damage that's happening in the water itself, I mean, just the water itself, and the amount of casualties involved with it, how come no one put together something and started putting criminal charges against these people who are polluting the water?
Well, so, like Flint, when your water's coming out like mud or black and brown, and I'm not saying that those cases aren't happening in Newark, but it's just not the norm, there's not that hypersensitivity or focus on it. Lead is a silent killer, right? And your water can look perfectly fine and be highly contaminated. So because it's not an in-your-face killer, because it's an overtime killer, because, we don't also have, like, Legionella or other bacteria, people aren't, okay, it's not that big of a deal. People aren't dropping dead the next day, so it's not that big of a deal. So, 10 years from now, when a greater population of our students are in behavioral programs where there's an increase in violence, and that's when we'll start realizing, oh, man, maybe we should have done a quicker remediation. Or maybe we should have poured money into programs that could have helped, ease these burdens. And so because there's no focus like that, or no, bodies in the street like that, people aren't really concerned with it. And also, you have to understand, we have a Democratic governor. We have a Democratic mayor. Nobody is really going to go against this, whereas in Flint, Michigan, it was a Republican governor who was also doing very, very shady things. So there was an emphasis on attacking that person in that platform. And where you don't really have those same situations here, people aren't, we're literally one of the few groups talking about this on a consistent basis and executing at a high level. So I guess that's why we're such a big thorn in his side, right? We're actually using data and science to argue against this narrative. Telling people, like, if you don't believe us, just do the research. Please do the research.
Whoa. You are using proven scientific data about the water?
Yes, like I'm not gonna talk about things that I have no clue on. And the thing is like, I want to say something, but I don't want to disclose some information. But I'll put it like this: you have people in the academic community that are starting to refuse to do this in Newark now because they can't work with this administration. And so when you have academics who are refusing to provide the high-level resources that we need to remediate this issue, it's a big problem. It's a huge, huge problem. So I think I've taken up enough time. I'm going to get going, but I'll definitely will, invite me anytime and I'll come back. I just want to stress, again, this is not Anthony Diaz and North Dakota Coalition against Roz and his administration. This is us about caring for the community.
Right.
And we will still continue to do the work. We want to continue to do the work, but we want to guarantee the safety of all of our partners and our membership. And I implore people to amplify this because, I can say this. The Star Ledger didn't want to write about this. They told me that it didn't look that bad. And I said, you said First Amendment violations? Okay, that's interesting. But I understand. You're scared. You're nervous. You don't want to do this. So don't be scared. Don't be nervous. Continue to do the work. Just be safe about it. Yeah. That's my takeaway from this. Be safe about it. Be smart about it. Use your head. But if you have a platform, then you need to be talking about this because there's a lot of people that believe that the great son of Amiri Baraka wouldn't do stuff like this. And Eric, I know you know. I know other people know, but we really need to get this message out to make sure that we are protecting the community first.
Yeah.
That is my last point. Community first.
Hey,
and
Anthony,
thank you for having me on the show.
You're welcome. When is your next event?
So I know I was going to partner with Cesare to do the event tomorrow, but I decided because I couldn't guarantee my safety, I'm not going to do that. I know July 4th, Rutgers Law School is asking us to co-sponsor an event, so we might be involved with that. Other than that, we're looking at different places in the South Ward to set up a water distribution. So we're looking at private property because we know if we try to go to any public space that the city is going to try to put the squeeze on that public space. So if anybody knows any place in the South Ward where we can set up a distribution that wouldn't be bothered, please contact us, NewarkWaterCoalition@gmail.com. I really want to continue to do work in that community. I really want to continue to provide resources. So we're looking at different venues and stuff like that.
Well, the Rutgers Law Group is a very good start, and because one, Rod is afraid of them because they don't contribute to him. Also, if you Eric post your information, I'll put a group in touch with you who can help you provide things like security. Also, I think that as you reach out more, there are more concerned citizens and concerned groups that would want to partner with you. We need you. This not just Newark, but the world needs you to keep up that good fight, to keep speaking truth to power.
Yeah.
I
Listen,
appreciate that. Thank you guys for your time.
Thank you, Anthony. Enjoy your weekend. Stay safe. I just think it's disgusting. I think it's absolutely disgusting. But that's who that guy is, and and I've said it countless times, and in the beginning of me doing this show, Vincent, I had people who would come on and attack, and I guess they realize what, there's no sense of attacking Eric anymore. I mean, they know that what I'm saying is true about him. They just don't want you to say it. Do you know what I mean? Like, so they know it. They just don't want you to say it.
We know that they listen to your show because every suggestion you make, Rod seems to jump right on it.
So anyway, so what else is going on?
Well, let's see. On a national scale, we've got a brand new Karen, Walmart Karen, who spouted out some racial explicits towards this black woman who unmistakably or unnoticeably stepped into her 6-foot space. Yet, with her mask on and mask on her children, she walked by her and said, "Excuse me." So, Walmart Betty, in Sacramento, California, called her the N-word. And she said, "What?" And she said, "You heard me, N. I could say N because I got a black husband." The sister replied, "Just because you perform fellatio on a black man, it doesn't mean that gives you the privilege to do the N-word." So she said to her, "I dare you, say it again." Well, Walmart Karen decided to say it again, and I guess because of the intolerance now to racism, sister decided to repeatedly punch her in the face.
Well, Diane, I think you sent something asking something. I thought I saw a text message from you asking what would you do if somebody violated your space. Oh, should you confront someone who isn't wearing a mask? Right? How does that all work?
Like we talked about it. Like what is this new COVID-19 social distancing etiquette? What do you say? What do you don't say?
No.
Do you address it? Do
I don't care.
Like,
I don't care if you never wear a mask. Just stay away from me. See, when you come into my space, right, and you don't want to have a mask on and you want to violate my space, that's a problem. See, because now you're trying to impose your beliefs on me. I don't care what you believe. If you believe that you can walk around without a mask, if you believe that whatever it is, go ahead and do it. But once you come and violate my space, like my 6 feet, stay away from me, right? And so, yes, I'm not going to go and confront you. So there are times when, like, Amina and I are in the car, and she'll say, "Oh, they don't have a mask on. Oh, they don't have a mask on. Can you believe those people?" I don't care. At this point, I don't care. Die. Just die, right? But I'm not going to let you drag me down with you. And so that is when you come into my space. So if I'm walking, and again, like the electrician who came to the house, right? He didn't have his mask on. I said, "Put your mask on. Put it on." Now, if he was going to somebody else's house, I don't care if they don't want him to have the mask on and they don't have their mask on. None of my business. Oh, is this Anthony calling back? Hold on. Mr. Diaz?
Good morning, Eric. Good morning, Diane. Good morning.
Oh, this is Farrakhan.
Yes.
What's going on? You came up on my phone as Anthony Diaz.
Well, listen, man, change your service. What you got? Springer up, man? You got to come to T-Mobile.
No, man, I'm not going to mention the service I have because they don't pay me.
Oh, that's right. Hold on. You got an Apple. That's what it is. You got an Apple. You need to be on the Android. Like, that's the thing.
No, he used the Apple phone for his business. He uses his Obama phone for the show.
Don't knock the Obama phone, man. A lot of people in the hood got the Obama phone.
So what's going on, man?
Nothing,
well, that's probably the only thing that Obama gave us, Farrakhan.
Uh-oh. Don't get Diane started.
I'm not getting on Obama. I'm not getting on Obama. I'm getting upset about that. I just called because I wanted to say, I had a problem this morning on Instagram. A person put up a post. They had to go to surgery mask, right? And so they took the box of the surgery mask and they put the disclaimer that it doesn't protect against COVID-19 up. And, so the person was putting up, see, this is what I've been telling y'all, why we even wearing these masks in the first place. And again, people don't seem to get it. Right? It says Wednesday on the box. It says it doesn't protect against contract COVID-19 or any virus or content. What it does is it protects against spreading the disease, right? And people don't seem to understand it. So I guess I'm going like as a PSA to everybody that's listening. Wearing a mask isn't so much as important that it will keep you from contracting as much as it will, if you have something, it will keep you from giving it, i.e., in the end, other people don't contract it from you. So please see it that way. Stop thinking that if you're wearing a mask, it's infringing on you and it doesn't help you in the first place. No, it helps anyone who has any kind of germ from spreading it further.
Right.
That is the purpose of wearing masks at this point. It is not necessarily, we understand that everybody does a 99 mask is not going to protect your life. Let's be clear, right? This is not some mega, block all viruses and germs. That's not what a mask had before this situation cost all the 99 cents. No, this is a mask to protect when you're breathing out from being breathed in by someone else. That's what you're trying to do.
Okay, but doesn't that protect people from contracting the virus if you're...
Yeah, that's what I said.
If you are asymptomatic?
By not spreading it, right, what it does is by not spreading it, other people are not contracting.
Correct.
That's how you have to spread. But see, these people are thinking of it as, I can still get the coronavirus if I wear the mask. Okay,
no, you already have the coronavirus and
right.
you wore a mask.
Well, listen, what somebody says in the thread makes sense, right? So Nicole says it lowers the risk, right? So
that's it. But people are arguing that. Eric. I want to start stopping people. Like, did you ever see
but
that?
You know what though?
Like
But you know, but again, Farrakhan, here's where I am with this. Don't waste. When somebody said this to me, when you argue with an idiot, a bystander can't tell which one is the idiot, right? So stop arguing with the idiots. For those people who want to know, share that information. For the rest of them, let them die. I am at that point now where, you know what? If you want to kill yourself, go ahead and do it. But I'm not going to allow you to come into my space.
Right. And I guess that's the reason I'm saying it, is because those same people are trying to get other people to kill themselves.
No, that's,
they're
what?
An idiot,
hey,
and they're trying to invite other people onto the idiot train.
Listen.
No, don't get on the idiot train. So I'm trying to counter that, I guess, is what I'm saying. Because right now, and it sounds good to those who don't know, right? If you look at the post that this put up, you would think, all right, I'm not going to wear a mask, right? Because it doesn't protect against the coronavirus. And the angle she's seeking it from, they think that. Instead of realizing it's not so much that it's going to protect you from getting it, but the person that's wearing it that has it, it's going to reduce the ability of them to give it to you. You understand? And they don't understand that. They're thinking of it as, it's not stopping up. It's like once they hear it doesn't work, that's all they have to have for the excuse to not do it. Not looking at the greater picture.
Yes, and that confirms what they said yesterday. Remember, I believe in March we talked about that there are millions that they have not actually rated. They just put out yesterday that there are close to 10 million people who have had the coronavirus that has not been documented. And people who are asymptomatic, youth, et cetera, et cetera. So that we're talking about 10 million people. Spreading that disease in a mass population, and like Eric said, let them die because I don't want you to kill me.
You know what? This may be The Purge. The movie The Purge, right? This may be The Purge. Let them die. Put your mask on, protect yourself, right? And the rest of them, this will thin out the herd, right? So maybe those people who we have come to know as the uninformed or those who are not intellectually curious, maybe it's just time for them to be done. I mean, you can't save everybody. Yeah, I don't know.
That's true. That's true. But I do want to say one thing that you said, the asymptomatic people. I want people to also understand it's not because so many people are asymptomatic. There are plenty of people who have recovered naturally that had all of this symptoms that, for whatever reason, it did not affect them that bad. Right? So they didn't have to be hospitalized, but they thought they were going through the regular. Right? They thought they were just having a basic illness, and they did basic treatment and were able to recover. I mean, it's not that there's 10 million asymptomatic people out there.
Well, no. The thing is that the 10 million plus asymptomatic people don't show signs of it, and they are contributing to the spreading. It's not the fact of them, dying. It's the fact of them, killing other people.
Well, but think about the people that they're killing. But no. But see, the other people that they're killing are people who are not. See, they're not killing me because I'm not around them, right? They're not killing me because I'm paying attention to what the scientists and the doctors are saying. So I wash my hands. I don't touch my face. I use sanitizer. I stay out of crowded spaces. If I go into a place and the sign says no more than 5 people and I see 12 people in there, I'm not going in there. Do you understand what I'm saying? When I get home, I disrobe. I take my clothes off on the porch. I spray them down with Lysol. I put on a second set of clothes and come into the house. I do all of those things to protect me and my family. Now, the idiots out in the street, I got to protect myself from them. That's what I do. I spend less time trying to educate them now and more time protecting myself from them. And if in the middle of all of this, they're going to die, they're going to die. I'm not wishing that they die. But I need to spend the energy protecting myself.
Hey, I agree, protecting myself and my family. Because, I don't want to be responsible for someone else's death. So, no, I'm going to take those precautions. I'm going to make sure that I'm safe. I'm going to do everything that Eric says. And, because I have a bigger obligation. I've got a wife and children that I need to protect. I have other members that I come in contact with in my church, in the prison ministries that I have to protect. So no, I'm going to wear my mask because, I could be asymptomatic and I could spread that disease to them. And you know what? I'm tired of going to funerals for COVID-19. Do you know how hard it is actually mourning and grieving for someone that you love and you can only see it through a Zoom? Come on, people. People are walking around now like this thing is over. They're talking about we've only actually hit, maybe even with the 10 million, we've only hit 3% of the population. This thing is still early. Five, telling them that the disease is dying. No, the disease isn't dying. People are dying.
Yeah, call it go.
Hey, guys, what's up? It's Darren. How's
everybody doing? What's up, Darren Martin?
Hey, good morning, Darren.
Good morning.
Hey, wait a minute.
Hey, you got it.
Wait a minute, Diane. I don't get that.
You're on an interesting topic right now because yesterday, most folks don't know I live in Union, New Jersey, so I went to one of the Walgreens I usually frequent. And while I was in Walgreens in the aisle, a gentleman comes walking in, and he doesn't have a mask on. So I immediately left that area and went to go look for the manager. Like, how the hell they let this person in here with no mask? Well, then, while I'm waiting for the manager, that same gentleman goes to go ring his stuff up, and the young lady, the cashier, is ringing him up. And y'all know Darren Martin. Anybody who knows me know. My wife always says to me, just leave it alone. I'm not leaving it alone because I got to make sure people know the right thing to do. So I said, you guys do realize that you need a face covering to come into the store. I said, and you can refuse that person's service if they don't have a face covering. I said, in fact, you have a sign on your door that says it's mandatory to have a face covering to enter. So why is he being served? So when the manager got there, the manager said, our corporate headquarters told us to not refuse anyone service at all. I said, whether they have a face covering or not. She said, yes. I said, well, give me your name, give me your corporate office phone number, and let me call your district manager. So long story short, I reported it to, of course, you got to leave a message with their corporate office, but then I spoke to the mayor and union, and I spoke to the health department, and that all happened yesterday. And then as of the close of business yesterday, it was decided Walgreens will now put a security guard there to enforce it. And what I did was I posted on the local union Facebook page. And you know, when you post something on one of these sites now, you get all the scientists without a license, you get all of the religious crazy folks, you get all of the people political. It's just amazing to me how people are not getting it. So, long story short, I said to them, listen, I said, what you do with yourself and your family and your personal time is one thing, but when it affects the public and me and my family, I'm going to call it out every darn time. No way in the world.
That's what I'm talking about, bro. Because I'm the type of guy, no, I will fight to protect my family.
Yeah.
I'm not going to apologize about it.
Yeah, that's that. You know.
So that's one way to deal with COVID etiquette. Go to the management.
That's what I would recommend, though. I would not, again, unless somebody is violating your personal space or your social distancing space, confronting them could lead to some issues. So I think that Darren going to the manager and saying, "Hey, look, this is a problem. This is a Walgreens problem, and you know, and I'm a Walgreens customer, and I need Walgreens to deal with this problem." Is the way to go. Not to say to the person coming in, "Hey, you know what? You don't have a mask on," because now you know you're confronting that person directly, and it may, you know, you may want to do that, but I wouldn't encourage it.
See, me, I say, look, I'm not being disrespectful, but I am being cautious for my life. And you're sitting up here talking to me, trying to talk to me without a mask on.
No. That's different, right? I'm talking about a customer who's not talking to you, who's minding their own business and don't have a mask on.
I'm telling.
Right. Yeah. I'm saying if somebody is in your space, so if somebody came to talk to you, then certainly you have every right to tell them to back up or put the mask on.
That's right. Yeah. And I'm definitely telling them.
Yeah.
And you know, the other thing that people are doing is they are saying there are exemptions, which everybody knows. If you read the mandate, the executive order, it says for religious reasons or for medical reasons, we get that. So all of these people coming out, but some people are using that even though they don't have a medical condition or a religious reason, and since you don't have to.
What would be the religion? Wait. I could understand a medical reason, but what would be the religious reason for not wearing a mask?
They come up with all types of stuff.
Because it's covered by the law. Because when you talk about black discrimination, everybody got discrimination against them.
No, Diane. But I'm asking. The question I'm asking is this: what religion says that you can't put a mask over your face?
Yeah, isn't that interesting, right?
I would just like to know that. I don't know. But in terms of health, you know, and I see some stuff in a thread regarding, you know, the conversation about, you know, more people die from the flu than from blah, blah, blah.
Argument again.
Yeah.
Look. If your religion dictates that you cannot wear a mask, and that's fine. I respect your religion and the discipline that you serve. However, if your religion says that, then you should not be any place where there are other people who are not in your religion. If that's what it takes, then you go to your church and you gather. But when you come to the Walmart, the Walgreens, you know, wear a mask or have somebody go for you. Forget that bull crap.
Yeah, or use the curbside service or use the drive-through. There's so many different options, but when you're affecting the public at large, that's not cool. That's not cool. People can do whatever they want to do personally, but when you're affecting the public at large and it affects everybody else, I think that's wrong, and it's just selfish when people do that.
Yeah.
See, I might want to start a religion where you go ahead and slap the cowboy stuff and by somebody who's talking to you without a mask on. That could be my new religion.
Yeah,
Violence
Vincent
is
goes
never the
promote-
answer, Vincent. Violence is never the answer.
Vincent's
Violence is
promoting
never the
violence.
answer, but it seems to get some. Look, I'm not an advocate of violence, but if there are some
Wait a
people
minute,
who
you
do
just
not
said you're
understand.
going to start a religion based on
No.
violence.
No. The religion isn't based on violence, but the religion does say that since you're going to kill me, I'm going to fight for my life.
Okay.
I'm not an advocate of violence, but for some particular reason, that's the only thing that there are a certain group of people understand.
Yeah, this is true. This is true. So what else is going? Darren Martin, it's so good having you on the line, brother. And listen, after the show, I want to give you a call. I want to talk to you about something I'm trying to do in Jersey City, and then maybe you also have some connections in Hoboken that could help me out.
Oh, beautiful. Okay,
Yeah.
no problem at all. No problem at all, brother.
Yeah, it's good to hear from you.
I want to make sure you guys know that this I'm sure you guys you have your ears to the ground. This virus seems to be really picking up in a bunch of states, and I know what the four governors did, trying to quarantine people coming from some of those highly affected places where the numbers are spiking up. But guys, just stay woke, because I know that Murphy today will be talking about how schools will reopen, which my wife and I already talked about. Our kids won't be going for the first. I'm gonna force them to continue to do online instruction for my kids. I give you an example. My daughter is in Union High School. There's over 2,000 people there. How the hell are they going to do social distancing? You can't walk in the hallway between classes. You can't do an assembly. The classroom size is going to have to. Nah. I can't wait to hear at 1 o'clock what Murphy's going to say, because I started protesting a couple of months ago. I was on a conference call with some of his people, and I said, listen, I'm telling you guys right now, I don't know about anybody else, but Darren Martin's kid. My son won't be going to no middle school, and my daughter won't be going to no high school. They'll be doing online. They'll continue online instruction, because I'm not putting them in harm's way. I mean, it's dumb.
Well, Darren, you bring up a good point. One, with the governors of New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, talking about that they're going to start monitoring people coming in the state on airplanes, and they're giving authority to the police to pull over people with out-of-state plates, specifically in Florida, is giving the same people the right to, again, police and enforce and be the judges all at the same time. The same thing that people out here marching about. So you're talking about reform on the police side, but then, again, you're encouraging them and giving them powers to go out there and stop people. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. Like you can't police people like that unless you're going to specifically shut down the borders of the state. Like, you can't do it. Like, how? And then you still have people that are working. People going in and out of New York and New Jersey that are still working physically, that work in hospitals or whatever it is that they may do. How are you going to decide this? Is everybody going to get stopped at the Holland Tunnel? Could you imagine how the Holland Tunnel, Lincoln Tunnel, and the George Washington Bridge would look? And the Verrazano Bridge, with them stopping people to check their temperature? Are you kidding me?
Yeah, there's no way to enforce that. I don't even know why they came up with that. There's no way to enforce that. Even with the schools, what me and some of the other think tanks I'm a part of, we proposed to the governor's office that months ago, we told them, listen, what should happen is schools should not come back in September. Let's wait to see if the second wave is not going to come, which I'm sure it's going to come, because you look at the spike in the other state. It's coming this way. It's coming. Unfortunately, the best you could do with starting school back, I thought, would have been January. To let this second
You
wave...
can't. No. Listen to me. You can't start school back, and I know all of the vaccine conspiracy theorists are going to jump on this, but you can't start school back until there's a vaccine. That is my true belief, Darren. This coronavirus...
And I'm not willing to be the first one to take this vaccine either.
Well, right, so that's a whole nother conversation. But what I'm saying
That's a good point, Eric.
Yeah, what I'm saying to you is this. If you understand listening to the science of this novel coronavirus, you understand how contagious, or how easily you can contract it, how easily it spreads, right? I think, we're fortunate, and part of the thing that nobody's really paying attention to is that all of the measures, all of the mitigation measures that we took, they worked, right? So even when folks are saying, well, more people died from the flu than if we didn't social distance, if we didn't wear masks, can you imagine how much worse it would be? Right? But nobody's paying attention to that, right? So folks, so for all of you who were idiots, right, who didn't wear masks, us more sane and intelligent people helped save your life and the life of your family members. That's what we did.
That's right.
That's what we did. All right. And so now you want to sit and mock it and say, well, you had more people die from the flu. Well, the reason that maybe your family members didn't die is because Eric wore a mask and Darren wore a mask and Diane wore a mask. That's why your family members are alive, because we helped slow down the spread.
See, the hard part that we're dealing with is
So
that we're trying to put...
in the words of Jack in A Few Good Men, I'd rather you just say thank you.
Well, the other thing is, Eric, you can't keep the schools closed because parents have to go to work.
Well, Diane,
so there has to be something that they figure out, because we're not talking about everybody's not a middle school student or high school student where they can stay home. You got little kids, 2nd and 3rd graders.
No, Diane, look, I understand that, but there will be no school if they all die, right?
Okay, but you also have to remember we are so behind other countries in education. Even on STEM, it took us 5 to 10 years before we even started to introduce it into the schools. Now they're back in school in China, getting ahead of us again, taking over, getting ready to prepare to take over the world again. And we're saying, no, we're not going to have schools at all open up.
Well, there's one thing.
There has to be a medium. Maybe private schools or schools where you're able to have 15 or 20 under in the classroom are allowed to open.
Well, look, we're already behind the curve. So them taking a few months out is not going to be a huge attack at that divide for right now. But we have to take this into account. This is the equivalent of somebody walking in with a weapon of mass destruction. Those levels and precautions have to be taken. And the part that's making it difficult is that we're trying to teach or instill social responsibility to a group of people, to some people who just aren't socially responsible.
Yeah.
They're barely responsible for their own freaking selves.
Yeah.
And most of them are a group of trifling people who go around and like to believe the conspiracy theory because they want to be trifling. They don't want to take the discipline and precautions.
Okay, so eliminating them, how do we continue to educate our kids at the same time that we send people back to work who have to have an income to pay their rent,
so,
to
Diane,
feed their
so
family?
part of the
Because
issue
these moratoriums that this governor has for rent, not paying rent, this ain't gonna last forever.
Right,
That's supposed to end
no.
in a few days.
I agree with you on all of these fronts, right? So there has to be a complete restructuring of this country. There just has to be a complete restructuring. You can't patchwork this thing. We have to first have an agreement, or not, right? I agree with it based on the science, that we do have this thing called a novel coronavirus. We have it,
correct,
right? We live with it. What does it mean? How dangerous is it? All of those things. Now, once we understand that, everything after that has to be designed to protect us.
And there's the rub, Eric, because we've got a group of people who keep expressing this narrative that this virus is gone.
Yeah. But everything has to be designed to protect us, to protect these children, to protect our elderly, to protect black people who we now know, right, because of underlying conditions, are at the greatest risk of dying. We have to protect. We have to protect. And so how we do business, how we go back to school, it has to be looked at through the filter of protection.
I agree with you 100%, Eric. But here's one of the things.
Darren, what are the parents saying in union from what you have, the ones that you're supposed to? What are their feelings? Because I know you said what you plan to do, and I'm sure you talked to other parents. What are they saying? What are their what are their plans? Are they going to homeschool?
Great question. I'm part of a group, Parents for Change, in union, and of course part of some other groups. And we've been dialoguing and talking for the last couple of months. And you have your sector of them that started that think homeschooling is a better remedy if they're able to do that. They have a job, like you said, Diane. You're right. People got to go back to work if they have the ability to be able to work from home and do that. But most of the people have to go back to work. They have to go to some kind of brick and mortar place where they won't be able to stay home, etc. And I get that. Here's my major concern, as I told all of the people I've been speaking to. Picture this, and I'll give you a classroom. Let's say a classroom with 10 students, and we know that don't even exist. And these students now have to go back in September wearing face coverings or some type of mask or something. So my son puts his down at lunchtime, and it looks like somebody else's mask, and they pick it up and put it on. This girl over here, or my daughter or somebody, they put their mask down. This is a recipe for disaster.
Correct.
It can't work, Diane. I'm telling you.
You're right.
Correct. But if
when you think about it, how do you keep it on a 5 and a 6-year-old when they're first coming into the school system for the first time, and they like to touch and they're running around and you can't control? And this is just, then these are your traditional kids without the IEPs. Then you add the IEPs on top of that. How do you deal with children who are autistic who won't be able to keep that mask on?
But I'm telling you.
And you know, those that are autistic and IEPs, they have more rights than everybody else. So you look at lawsuits coming down because their kids are already disenfranchised because they're at home and losing on their services.
And if I could add to what Eric said, okay, we need to devise a new system. And one of the best things in devising this new system is that we have to come another understanding that the old system wasn't working for the majority of us anyway.
Right. Exactly. So we're trying to retrofit into a system that we realize hasn't worked at all. Right? That's why everything's crumbling. And so we say, let us not tear this system down and rebuild something that's going to work. Let us try to work within the confines of this broken system to come up with something that works. It doesn't make sense.
That's like having your Rolls Royce and you got a donut on it.
That's fine. Let's not talk about the traditional school system. Let's talk about educating our kids. Stop talking about moving them back into and talk about moving forward on how they're going to be educated. Then we'll stop talking about the same school system because that's what people need to shift their thinking to.
There you go. Perfect. And that's the whole thing. If we are in a new norm, let's make it a true new norm. Let's make this norm work for us. Now, children have the incredible ability to adapt a lot faster than adults. I have seen my wife teach these kids that from day one, where she was pulling her hair out and to get these kids to understand using the computers and the laptops. But by the end of the school system, these kids were experts. Children do adapt. It's the parents who don't want to adapt and make that change and keep going into that same failed system. Let us adopt the new and make it work.
You're right, Vince. You're right.
I'm on a roll.
And well, we need this. The system we are currently in don't work anyway. If not for my wife and I educating our kids above and beyond when they get in the schools in these failed school systems, man, our kids will be so far behind, man. But look how many parents don't have the wherewithal to be able to teach their kids black history, real black history, be able to teach their kids about money and how to handle a dollar. I mean, it's just, oh my God, it's scary.
Let's look at how many parents and households didn't have computers until now.
Well, Derek, now moving forward, what do you think the new system system should look like. Because when you talk to them and you go back to the Governor Murphy and to your groups, we want to change the dialect on how you speak to them and say, how are we going to make our new educational system? Because we're not talking about what was anymore. Now this is how it should look. The class size should be this. We should have a teacher assistant and a teacher. We should have, like, how do you see that breakdown happening? Do you see it in other school systems that you can pull from their school systems and say, look, that has worked. Let's do it more this way. Because even though we talk about how it's going to be very difficult for kids to go back into the school system, the public schools, I see the behavior and just how charter schools function on kids not touching each other and learning that first 2 weeks of how to control their hands and how to walk silently in the hallways and things like that. So there's something to some of that discipline that they've taken from China to bring into charter schools. What do you see? What can you bring into the new system? Because that's what we need to be talking about, our new school education.
Yeah, so that's a great question, because the first place they got to start, Diane, and this is something we've been talking about because we pulled this whole George Floyd and Breonna Taylor thing, this uprising happening around the country has brought on the conversation in a lot of school districts about the racism that's going on, and it's happening in Union. So we just had a big blow-up Zoom call with our superintendent of schools and stuff over here in Union about the inequities in our school system. It starts with the main thing. What else? What is it? The racism that's going on as it pertains to their hiring practices.
Yes.
You have many black parents. I've only been in Union for 5 years, and I've spoken to an abundance of educators, I'm sorry, not parents, but educators who had much better credentials and skill sets than their white counterparts, but because of the racism in Union, they were put to the side, and their white counterparts got the jobs. So we've been dealing with that, and boy, you want to see, Eric, some people that don't want to talk about racism? Oh man, they don't want to talk about this, man. They are running away from this conversation, and I told them on the phone the other day on the Zoom call, listen, newsflash, Union has a race problem. I know you guys suppress it in the past. I know South Florida, Maplewood does it, and other places do it well. You suppress bad press, but you won't be able to suppress that now because Darren Martin now lives in Union. So you can't suppress that anymore.
So Darren, so what should the demands be? Because I always said, even as a council person, the council and the governing body should reflect the percentage of the demographics of the community. Because when you have that, then you have more voices at the table that see things differently. So I may see something totally different than somebody from a Jewish background. I may see something totally different than somebody from Haiti who's a Haitian American, because their needs for their kids are different than what my need for my child may be. So what do you feel about that? And do you also think that it's time for them to give options for these older teachers that have not been performing well? It's time for them to go and start recruiting more younger teachers and go into the schools to promote at the colleges to bring back what did they call them that they came in through the program before? What was the program that they had if you wanted to transition out of the Fortune 500 and workforce community? Not provisional teachers, but it was you know what I'm talking about. How do you
that was a great program too.
Exactly.
It was a great program.
How do you get more of that in? Because those teachers that came out of the corporate world had a sense of the world. They weren't limited to the building. So they saw things differently. They taught differently. They brought different things to the table. What do you think about that?
I forgot the name of that program, Diane. That was a great program. Oh my gosh.
Because they brought the actual applied science with the book knowledge. And it made everything well-rounded. But and that's a great program. And Diane, that's a great start.
Vincent, Google that program. I actually got my teacher certification through them years ago, but I can't think of the name of the program. Oh man!
You must have been drinking the water in Newark.
No, I don't do that.
Now, Diane, the other area which I just touched on is all school districts got to now look at who's on their personnel committee.
Yes.
If it's all white, pale, and stale people on the personnel committee, well, there's your problem. That's why you're only getting white teachers in front of these mostly black and Latino kids. We got to change that. That has to be changed. They have these kids for 5.5 to 6 hours every day. They had school more than they had home. So you got to have somebody in front of that room that little girl could see that black teacher and say, oh, man, I could be a teacher one day, or educator, or professor, or et cetera. We can't only have white teachers, and I'll go a little further with it. Union is the other thing we had to argue about the other day. Back in 2018, most of you guys know him, Principal Barude Kifele, well-renowned, sought after, I call him our ambassador of education. This guy was invited to Union to come and speak to them about how white teachers should be teaching students of color, or black students, or whatever people want to call it. And what ended up happening was, all day, and I told them on the corner of the day, and they didn't like it. I saw a lot of frowns on faces, but it was okay. I don't care. That the white teachers, some of the white teachers plotted all throughout that day because, one, they didn't like the subject matter, and they didn't like who the person was going to be bringing that message was black. So what they did was, and this was the Friday before, I remember it well because it was the Friday before Dr. King's birthday. When their contractual time, due to union contract time, came for them that they could just leave if it's not a mandatory meeting, the white teachers started walking out in the middle of Barude Kifele presenting, which has never happened to me. He called me afterwards and told me about it. Disrespectful. They never did that to a white presenter, but because he was a black presenter and they didn't like the subject matter, how dare you tell me how to teach black kids, etc. Or Union is. Well, don't get me started. Don't get me started, Diane. Just don't get me started.
Alternate Route. That's the name of the program. Alternate.
Yeah. And I agree with you 100%. Personnel is key. Why would you, as Malcolm X said, only a fool will let his enemies teach his child. And that's what we keep doing. We get these racist teachers who don't believe in black people and just say, okay, we just want to push them up here to the point where they can get an entry-level job or go to prison. They gotta go.
Well, exactly. And that goes back to when you go to that school board, the people that you elect should be fighting back with the unions and putting stuff in their contracts about mandatory black history education. You can't, and the other thing is they have to stop, and I've seen it before, putting white people as teachers to teach black history. Get the hell out of here. Not that it can't be done, but they're not doing it to the extent that it needs to be done.
Thank you. Yeah. And maybe now that people got these mail-in ballots, maybe they could give some consideration to these board members who are looking to be elected. Maybe we need to actually start looking deep at the failures of our schools. And the biggest people who are responsible for that is us, because we keep electing the same board members who are doing the same status quo. They don't care about your kids. They just care about their political position.
That's absolutely right.
That's it.
That's absolutely right. Absolutely right.
You're right.
So, see, Darren.
So we got a lot of work to do. Now, how do you guys feel about this whole? We talked a lot about it. LeBron James is saying that the NFL commissioner Roger Goodell have not apologized to Kaepernick yet. That he should be apologizing. Most people think that the apology will be empty now because he lost that moment to do it when he first came out, or they think it's empty because.
Well, wait a minute. Didn't Goodell come out and say
he did apologize? They just didn't accept it.
Yeah, Goodell came out and said that he was wrong. I thought he did.
Yeah,
apologize.
but he never mentioned Kaepernick's name.
Oh, gee. I'm sorry. His apology wasn't as heartfelt for LeBron James. Come on.
And guess what? He never came out and said that Kaepernick was blackballed, because he was blackballed by the entire league, the 32 teams.
Absolutely blackballed. But Darren,
let's talk about white supremacy. Let's talk about it.
But let's go back to, is an apology enough? Because are your words really matching your actions? I would rather LeBron James come out and say, this is a list of the things we want you to do. To show
There you go.
apology to college.
There you go.
Put him on the board, the NFL board. Put him here. Let him have a voice.
There you go.
That's what I would prefer that happen as
There you
opposed to
go.
an apology. I can't take an apology to the bank and neither can Colin Kaepernick. It means nothing.
Well, like Diane, I consider an apology a good first step, and their next actions should be exactly what she said. If we're going to make change, if this is our new norm, then let's make it a true new norm.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. See, Diane, can we get you to run for president?
Not this year.
We can write her in. You said it the other day.
Yeah, you could.
I'm writing you in. Shoot. I already written Gritty in on one candidate.
Okay.
Let me tell you something. We really need to start teaching people about how to write people in as candidates, because it's really an effective way. Because I mean, Eric talks about it all the time, because Eric is an excellent marketer and number cruncher. So when you look at the numbers, the amount of votes these people are winning by, 2,200 people came out to vote in. You could get more people to write in.
Yes, you
than
can.
they actually get to come to the polls.
You
Even
never have
the
to be on the ballot. You
people.
never have to be on the ballot. And in fact, you know what, Darren? And I know, Kevin used to say, Eric, don't give these secrets away.
Yeah, I know. I can hear Kevin saying it now.
But what I'll say is
Look,
this.
they can't run with your idea. They ain't that smart.
The beautiful thing about a write-in campaign. The beautiful thing about a write-in campaign is that they never see you coming.
Exactly.
See, because when you're on the ballot, they know who the opponent is. If you're running a write-in campaign and you literally just going door to door, informing the voter, asking the voter if they would write you in, right? That's a very quiet campaign, but it's very effective. And by the time your opponent sees you coming, it's too late. I've run several write-in campaigns, and they've won. And literally on election day, is when most people realize what happened, because there's nothing, all of a sudden they're counting the ballots, right? Or counting the votes, and they see this write-in candidate, and then they see, because usually you get a write-in candidate, get 10 votes, 5 votes, whatever. But all of a sudden this write-in candidate, say candidate A, has 900 votes, has 1,000 votes, and they become a real threat now, and all of a sudden they're on everybody's radar, but it's too late to do anything. So I would suggest it. And you know what it also does, Darren? It creates a level of discipline within the campaign. Because now you have to engage the voter in a way that nobody else is engaging the voter.
Yeah, because the establishment politicians, they just want to look at the most likely voter, spend a couple of dollars, do some mailings. They don't want to go knock on the doors. They don't want to talk to. They don't want to engage, as you just said, Eric. So, I mean, they are so beatable, and that's why you see around the country what's going on with the guy Bowman. That beat this guy in the store over there. I mean, you see all these people using the word progressive and painted with a broad brush. Now, not all of them are progressive. They just call themselves progressive. But you see a shift. You see a paradigm shift happening, and the Democratic Party should be very aware of what's going on with them, because it's mostly happening in that party.
Oh, they are aware, Darren, and right now they're trying to do what the Republicans did with the Tea Party, right? That's exactly what it is. They're trying to get in front of it now. They're trying to claim it as theirs, right? Like, oh, I hear you. I understand. You don't need to replace me, right? I'll do what you want me to do now.
What you want?
Right? But that's what they did. Listen, all of them. Look all of them took their knee.
Husband who abuses his wife when she's fed up and ready to leave. Oh no, honey, I'll change. I'll never do it again. I'll never do it again. Never.
An abusive relationship.
I learned my lesson. As they say, I learned my lesson. Don't get rid. Don't get rid of me. I learned my lesson.
Baby, please, baby, please.
Yeah, please, baby. I won't do it again.
Exactly. I'll never do it again. I hear you, people. I hear you. Right. Too late. Too freaking late. Too many butt whoopers and black eyes and excuses of why they do that stuff. Too much we're dealing with failed school systems.
But listen, understand, this is how a Chuck Schumer and a Nancy Pelosi, how they've lasted so long, right?
That's right.
They move with the issue, right? They move with the issue and they pretend to care, right? And they tell you that they love you and we buy it. And my hope is that with all of them, that we're finally fed up. We'll see, though.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see.
Yeah, baby, I'm sorry. Let's start all over again.
If you look at most of their, any of them that's running for re-election, they can't really say much of what they've done. So basically, their main line is, I want to go back so I can continue my work. So we need to get like Janet Jackson and say what have done for me lately. Because what have you done lately for us? And let's point out those things you've done for us lately. That's not what you did in 1970. What did you do recently? And see, we got to start putting these people on Front Street. And although the voters getting a little smarter, it's not moving fast enough to be. I mean, they are getting smarter and they're seeing what was worse. But I tell you what I love. I'm going to tell you what I love. These young people.
That's what I'm talking about.
This generation Z, and the
millennials,
they have adopted not the Dr. King way of doing things, where we're going to be peacefully protesting, and we're going to be nice about it, and we're going to be, no, man, they adopted the by any means necessary Malcolm X way of doing things. Either you're going to give it to us, or we're going to take it.
That's what I'm talking about.
Now, I'm not supporting violence, but I'm just saying to you that enough is enough with, and I think, Vince, you said it the other day, that we got to stop taking what they give us and start demanding what we need. We have to start getting to that point, man, because all of this thing where we're going to be at the table, let's get down to the table with NASA and meet with them and see what they're going to give us today. No, not what they're going to give us. We got to come with that list of demands, and if this doesn't happen, well, this is what's going to happen. This is going to be the consequence of that. We got to get to that.
Right.
Get to that. We can kick all these bums out.
That's right.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm
one
talking
by
about.
one.
And the revolution will be televised.
What do you say, Eric? We don't have to take out the whole group at one time. Pick them off one by one.
Like Eric planned to do it. Like Eric planned to do with his neighbor's pigeons.
Now I decided not to pigeon poach.
But yes, one by one, pick them all off. We are now, like I said, we are in a new norm. Let us now make it a true new norm. A norm now that works for us.
So, is everybody reading the book? Stay focused, Vincent. Stay focused. 5 minutes.
Hey, Vincent, where are you on the book?
I'm halfway through.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think that this, and I keep telling people, our approach always has to be multifaceted. Eric always says we got to be able to chew gum and walk at the same time. Mm-hmm. So I think as the guy said, they was speaking to a few people from Black Lives Matter the other day, and they asked him how long are you guys going to be out there marching? He said until November 3rd. He said we clearly understand what's going on here, and this is probably our best chance to get something done right now. He says, we'll be marching only until Election Day. He said, and then we're gonna also march with our votes. He said we're gonna weaponize our votes and our voting power. We're gonna weaponize our dollars. He said it's gonna be. I mean, I love this young generation because some of them actually get it, man. And I don't know who taught them or who passed that baton, because most of these old heads won't pass the baton. They didn't.
No, bro. Nobody passed the baton. They took it and ran.
Yeah, they took it.
You know what? That's the better way to put it.
Yeah, they took it. They didn't pass the baton. They took it.
I love it, man. I love it.
Oh, me too. And me being the old generation, I'm letting them run with it. Y'all need some bail money? Call me.
Man, we got to be there to support our young people, man, because they are taking those positions. I'm telling you, I'm seeing I'm seeing a young Darren Martin as a sophomore in high school when I first got involved with politics, and they asked me to pass out some literature to do some GOTV for a candidate in Jersey City in Hudson County. And that's what the heck I was doing, but that was my first exposure to, and then when you start talking to the voters, and they were so happy to see young people out there. So I see so many of these young people. I see myself in these young people. And, oh my gosh, I just love it. When they asked me to speak at the rally recently, I was honored. I said, he said, man, we know about you, man. I said, man, I said, these kids, 18, 19 years old, what the heck they know about this 55-year-old old man? But they saw that my work has continued, and I haven't stopped working. Oh, man, this is good.
That's a great thing, Darren. You know, I got started early, too. I was in 8th grade. I ran for class president. I was the class president.
Wow.
And I have not stopped since.
You see that, Vince? I heard, bro. I heard. 8th grade, brother.
Wow.
Yes,
8th grade.
13 years old, man. Yes.
Hey, Diane, you won?
8th grade, WOK. I stood on the stage and gave a speech and then cried. Because I was so nervous.
Hey, but your speech showed passion. It showed a desire to serve, and that's what they look at.
That's absolutely right.
You can talk all the trash you want that these politicians do, but they cannot fool these kids, these millennials, because these millennials are looking at the true honesty of you. They're seeing through all the bull crap.
Well, listen, Darren Martin, I want to thank you for calling in. Hey, Darren, before we go, how was your Father's Day, man? Do you have a good Father's Day?
Yeah, man, Father's Day was good, man. It's usually just a laid-back day for me. And my wife usually cooks for me, but she had to work, so my mother-in-law and my mother-in-law's from St. Kitts on the West Indies. So, man, her peas and rice, her jerk chicken, her curry chicken, man. Brother,
hey, you may want to send your wife to work every Father's. Send your wife to work every Father's Day.
Wait a minute, Darren. You said it was a laid-back day for you. Father's Day was a laid-back day for you? So you're telling me you in the kitchen cooking every other day?
No.
I ain't think so.
Here we go.
Here we go. See that? See, there Diane is raining on the Father's Day parade again.
Oh.
All right, listen.
Darren knows I love him most.
Diane just squeezing off the rounds, but she's like an AK-47.
Listen, guys, don't forget the book. Don't forget the book. Enjoy the weekend. And we'll see you guys back here on Monday.
On Monday. Have a great weekend.
Have a great weekend.
Be safe. Wash your hands. Keep your distance. If it's God's will, we will all be together again to express our views and opinions on Monday.